phone to the operator.
Have you any idea what it's like to have your life threatened and go through that for 28 years?
I'm a police officer.
Okay.
So obviously, if you're looking for us to do stuff,
see this.
Then you need to.
I've moved from Plymouth because of this behaviour.
Right.
Okay.
So it's happened in Plymouth as well.
Yes. Immediately, I got to Plymouth. Okay. See this T-shirt?
Yeah.
I put that on the line, and I forgot to bring it in. I went out to get it the next day. It's been cut. All right. I've got a recording in there of a painter and decorator that I had in my house, who, after I told him, we were talking about the Jimmy Savile inquiry.
Was this in Plymouth or in Blackpool?
Yeah,
right.
This was the Jimmy Savile inquiry.
Right.
When that was going on, I reported historic sexual abuse.
Okay.
Okay. I didn't find the police particularly helpful. I did a 5-hour Achieving Best Evidence video with them. But they also lied about their ability to investigate it initially, which prompted me to have to make a complaint.
Right.
They didn't like the fact that I made a complaint. Then it seemed like they were trying to make my life quite difficult.
Can we just stay on track with this incident?
Well,
Peekaboo?
we can.
Because I'm not here all day, I'm completely honest.
Right, it's quite complicated, isn't it?
It's not really, not the job at Peekaboo's. Right, so the Peekaboo's job, I will contact Peekaboo's, I'll speak to Dean the doorman. They've obviously made a note, it says something that they've made that he'd said to you they will record it, they're supposed to record every incident. I'll try and figure out who this person is. Is it Andrew, who's potentially been there?
Well, it was him and his brother, yeah.
And was it Alistair or something like
that? And his sister was also trying to take a photograph of me.
And you don't know whether they're sort of, because obviously places like Peekaboo's, they'll have long-term guests, won't they?
Right.
And Casey's Bar as well, and those ones.
I don't really know.
So if they know who they are, so that's the first thing I'll do. I'll have a look at that. I'll speak to them. I'll ask them their opinion of what happened, and if it's anything that qualifies as being problematic, we'll also look at the CCTV and just see if there's any issue. Now, in terms of the initial safeguarding review, you're in Holly House. How long have you been there for?
2 weeks.
Where were you before then?
No.
In Blackpool though?
I've moved from Plymouth because of this very self-same behaviour. Yeah.
It's a bit of a strange coincidence that within 2 weeks of being in Blackpool, the same stuff starting again. You're not saying things to people or anything like that. Because why? Because without sounding strange, if you look at you, you look like a well-dressed man who, you get this kind of stereotypical paedophile look, and we deal with this sort of thing.
Well, not all paedophiles look like that.
Yeah, but this is the problem. When we deal with incidents of that nature, there's a certain look which tends to attract a certain level of attention.
I understand that,
and you don't have that look.
I know, I understand that.
So,
well, I've got glasses, maybe. And I don't wear a dirty old Mac.
I probably look more like a paedophile than you.
No, I don't think so.
Bald, a bit fat, and whatever.
No, you're not.
So you're not like. I don't understand how it's being generated.
Because there are rumours being spread.
But how has that happened within 2 weeks? And you couldn't have come any further than from Plymouth.
Exactly.
So I'm assuming there's no one that you know that's been in Plymouth that's up here now, or you come with friends. Or...
No.
Right.
I keep my mouth shut. I keep myself to myself, basically, because I live every second of my day in fear of being attacked and murdered.
Right. Nothing has happened yet in terms of you coming to any sort of physical harm. Like I said, the accommodation you're in whilst you're there, because we've got to look at...
Well, that's not true, officer.
So, go on then.
I was attacked in Plymouth.
No, but since in Blackpool.
Yeah, but I was attacked in Plymouth by a random stranger who called me a kiddie fiddler, assaulted me with a weapon.
What sort of weapon?
It was a yard broom with a metal spike on the side of it.
Right.
Which punctured a hole right through my cheek.
Right. How long ago was that?
That would have been 3 years ago.
Right, okay. So you come to Blackpool for a fresh start?
Well, obviously not, because I won't be staying here.
But
why me as a human being,
I don't know,
who you said isn't a paedophile?
Yeah. Oh, you've got lots of other convictions and a record.
I have a lot of convictions,
but nothing.
Yeah, I've never been questioned about sexual offending.
No,
so I don't.
Never been arrested for it.
But the thing is, it's a hate campaign.
Well, what you've got to understand from my point of view is, most people can live their life quite ordinarily without come into contact with these situations.
Yeah.
There is a pattern of things that are happening to you, and I've got to, as a police officer, look at the situation and think to myself, is there anything that you're doing to generate that issue? Because it seems hugely coincidental that within 2 weeks of landing in Blackpool, the same stuff that's happening in Plymouth is happening to you here. It's just, is it too much of a coincidence? You obviously...
It is. I can tell you now, from my point of view, that the things that go on in my life are way too much to be just a coincidence.
Well, it sounds like it, but I'm wondering whether or not it's how is that being generated, and is it? I mean, you're quite clearly the sort of person who has opinions, and you're probably not frightened to say them. I can see that when you rang the police, you were quite abusive to the operator. When you've had a drink or anything like that, do you drink?
Well, I was in a bar.
Probably doesn't mean you drink though.
Well, yeah, I drink.
Right. So how does that
can I
change
just
it?
stop? Can I just stop you from going down that path
No,
for a
I've got to
second?
ask the question.
Because I'd like a little bit of empathy. I'd like a little bit of empathy.
Right.
Okay. So I moved to Plymouth, and immediately I moved to Plymouth, I started getting these accusations.
Okay.
I've been attacked. I've been assaulted. I've tried to report this. I've tried to gather evidence. I've kept evidence for 6 years, 7 years. No police officer has ever looked at it. No police officer has even taken a report. No police officer has sat down in front of me like you have, and actually had some understanding of what might be going on. Okay, so that's a serious threat. I feel completely under some sort of serious life-threatening threat. And when you move to a new place, and you get somebody do that to you, you're going to be very agitated, aren't you? Yeah.
But in terms of what's happened here in Blackpool, in Peterloo, someone's obviously come over to you. They've said something which is offensive and untrue, and we know it's untrue.
Yeah.
But in terms of someone threatening to harm you or whatever else, that's what we're looking at now. I'm looking at what's happened here in Blackpool. So what will happen is I will contact Peterloo's, see what they say, because quite often people don't tell us the whole truth, or there's been other things that have happened, and I'm not saying necessarily the doorstep is to be believed, but I need to ask that question.